All right, we are recording. Good morning. I'd like to welcome you to the January meeting of the Lctcs Board of Supervisors. Thank you for joining us today. Before we begin, I will ask Lctcs Board Services Coordinator Sarah Landron-O'Clompieter to review a few points, given that we're holding a meeting of the board with virtual guests and live streaming to YouTube. Sarah?
Hey, good morning, everyone. Just as a reminder, like Dr. Sullivan said, our meeting is being streamed live online on YouTube. So please be mindful of that. Those joining by remote access, which is all of us, are asked to keep yourselves on mute during the meeting and use the raise hand feature within Zoom if you have a comment or a question. And when recognized to speak, unmute yourself, give it a few seconds before you make your comments, and then return to mute to avoid additional background noise during the remainder of the meeting. If you have any trouble with your technology at any point, please text my cell phone. You may view board items via the links posted on the Lctcs website and those that were emailed directly to you. We will conduct a roll call vote at the start of the meeting to establish quorum and as needed to approve the agenda, enter executive session, or there's a voiced opposition to an item. Time will be given at each motion to voice a concern, request a roll call vote. Members, please state your name when making a motion. Motions must be made by sound. Public comments may be made during today's meeting via an open conference call. The phone number is 1-877-810-9415. Access code 6499147#. That information is also in the notice of meetings that was posted to the Lctcs website, www.lctcs.edu. Any public comments received will be read during the meeting by the board secretary or a designee. And all public comments must include an agenda item number, a name, and a brief statement. Public comments are limited to 3 minutes per comment. And Mr. Chairman, I now turn the meeting over to you.
Thank you, Sarah. Appreciate it. Good morning, everybody. I'd like to call this meeting to order of the January 12th, 2022 Lctcs Board of Supervisors. At this point, I would ask Supervisor Roman Hardy. Is he? I thought he was. Yeah, is he there? Yeah, Roman. Would you please lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance?
Happy to, Mr. Chair. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Sarah, I believe you're up to us. Conduct a roll call, please.
Yes, sir. Supervisor Price.
Here.
Supervisor Mount.
Here.
Supervisor Chip Jackson.
Here.
Supervisor Bradford. Have you been able to join us? She may join us at some point, Mr. Chairman. Supervisor Butler McIntyre.
Present.
Supervisor Carter.
Here.
Supervisor Roman Hardy.
Here.
Supervisor Tim Hardy.
Here.
Supervisor Erica McConduit. Supervisor Michael Murphy.
Here.
Supervisor Salah.
Here.
Supervisor Smith.
Here.
Supervisor Spahn.
Here.
Supervisor Toots.
Here.
And Supervisor Kuvion.
Here.
Mr. Chairman, we have a quorum of the board present.
Thank you, ma'am. Members, you have received the agenda, and in accordance with the Louisiana Revised Statute 4217.1, as presiding officer, I have determined that the matters on this agenda are considered critical or time sensitive and should not be delayed. At this point, I would request a motion to approve the January 12th, 2022 agenda in consideration of the matters on it.
Second, Craig Spawn.
As a motion by Ms. Mount, and a second by Ms. Matt, a second by Mr. Spahn.
Okay.
Is there any opposition to the agenda? We do have to conduct a roll call vote to approve the agenda. And so we are voting to approve the agenda at this point. Supervisor Price,
Yes. Yes.
Supervisor Mount,
Yes.
Supervisor Jackson,
Yes.
Supervisor Bradford, I believe you were on at this point.
He needs to accept the move to panelist.
Supervisor Bradford, we did move you to panelist. You'll need to accept that motion to move to panelist. Supervisor Butler McIntyre,
Yes.
thank you. Supervisor Bradford, thank you. Supervisor Carter,
E.
yes, ma'am. Do you approve the agenda?
Yes.
Fantastic. Supervisor Roman Hardy,
Yes.
Supervisor Tim Hardy,
Yes.
Supervisor Murphy. Mr. Murphy, we're approving the agenda. Mr. Murphy, can you hear us?
Doesn't sound encouraging.
Mr. Murphy, we're doing a roll call vote to approve the agenda. Can you hear us? We will come back to Mr. Murphy. Mr. Salah,
Yes.
Mr. Smith,
Yes.
Supervisor Spahn,
Yes.
Supervisor Toops,
Yes.
and Supervisor Kuvion.
Yes.
Fantastic.
Sarah,
Yes.
Supervisor McConduit should be in just 1 second.
Oh, fantastic. Supervisor McConduit, we will note for the record that you joined us during this agenda vote, and we're voting to approve the day's meeting.
Yes, thank you.
And with Ms. McConduit here with us, I would like to note that we have all members of our board present today.
All right. Picture time.
We might take one at the end of the meeting.
Well,
So, Mr. Chairman, the motion to approve the agenda was, I would like to note that the outcome of the vote to ensure that 2/3 of us present voted affirmatively to adopt the agenda and consider the items on it.
thank you, ma'am.
Welcome.
All right. Next, I request a motion to approve the October 20th, 2021 meeting minutes as presented.
So moved.
Motion by Ms.
I would
Mount,
second.
second by Ms. Carter.
Is there any more discussion? Is there any opposition to that? Can we proceed without a roll call, Sarah?
You can, as long as there is no opposition.
Very good. So hearing none, we will consider that done. Get to the chair of the board report. I'll try to do as quick as I can. At this point, I would like to welcome Supervisor Cynthia Butler McIntyre to the LCTCS Board of Supervisors. Welcome. We're very glad to have you. She was appointed by Governor John Bel Edwards to fill the seat representing the 2nd Congressional District. She was sworn in yesterday in advance of today's meeting. If you allow me a minute, I'll say a little bit about Ms. Butler McIntyre. She is an education advocate and activist, and a retiree of the Jefferson Parish School System, and has served as a human resources director for the district. She earned a Bachelor of Arts degree from Dillard University and a master's degree in educational administration from the University of New Orleans. Ms. Butler McIntyre studied at Vanderbilt University in Nashville, Tennessee, and Nova Southeastern University in Fort Lauderdale, Florida. She holds an honorary doctorate degree in divinity from Christian Bible College of Louisiana and an honorary doctorate degree of humane letters from Dillard University. Her distinguished record of service and outstanding list of accomplishments include recognitions by local, state, regional, and national organizations. from a presidential appointment to a school in Charité, am I close? Haiti, that bears her name. She has been a servant leader to one of the largest premier women's organizations in the world, Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated. She served as the 24th national president during the centennial celebration of the sorority, bringing worldwide attention to its work globally. Her board involvements include NAACP, the Jefferson Federation of Teachers H&W Fund, the New Orleans Convention Center, Inclusive Care Community Health Care Centers, the Delta Foundation, National Conference of Christians and Jews, now the National Conference of Community and Justice, the Dolores Taylor Arthur Charter School for Boys, MLK Task Force of Jefferson Parish, and the Greg Malone, former NBA player, Foundation. Cynthia M.A. Butler McIntyre Day has been declared in over 25 cities nationwide, plus an island, and she has received the key to over 30 cities. She was also named the best female alumnus of a historically Black college and university by HBCU Digest. She also served as the state secretary for the Louisiana State Association of School Personnel Administrators for over 20 years and was once named Louisiana's Elementary Assistant Principal of the Year. She is married to Mr. Ronnie McIntyre, the owner-operator of McIntyre Masonry, and they reside in New Orleans, Louisiana. Through her marriage, she has 4 children and 3 grandchildren. Mercy, that's quite a statement of accomplishment. Would you like welcome aboard? Would you like to say a few words?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I just would like to say I'm excited about the work ahead. I enjoy doing anything that has to do with education. That, as it says, I'm an activist and advocate only to make sure that what was offered to me and afforded to me as an educator and just a little girl who just wanted to do my best, I want to make sure we give others the opportunity and the potential and all we can to give them their best. And so that's why I'm excited about this. So I am looking forward to the work ahead. I'm ready, got my hands all ready to do what I can do. So thank you for this opportunity to work with all of you. And I have enjoyed working with Sarah already. She keeps me abreast of everything I'm supposed to do. So I'm looking forward to it.
Very good. Very good. Glad to have you. Sarah does a great job. We love her to death. I don't know what we'd do without her, but welcome aboard. Just for the record, I would like to state that two supervisors, Joe Potts and Jack Wagaspack Almeida, each resigned their board seats for personal reasons in recent days or in recent weeks. We wish both of them the best in their future endeavors.
Mr. Chairman, if I may, just one quick update on that point. We are hopeful that we will have a follow-on to Supervisor Potts' appointment by the February board meeting. And likewise, we are looking into the student side of being able to replace Supervisor Alameda, hopefully by the February board meeting as well.
Thank you, sir. My one other thing I need to bring up is the 2022 Phi Theta Kappa All-State Ceremony Luncheon is scheduled for April 22nd at Northwestern State University, where I have a grandson going to school, by the way, in Natchitoches. Please, anybody wants to attend, please let Sarah know if you can attend. And with that, President Sullivan, I'll turn it over to you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thank you to each member of the Board of Supervisors and our college community that has joined us today. I particularly want to give welcome to Supervisor Butler McIntyre and look forward to getting to know you better and look forward to working with you. We have yet another advocate and activist on this board to help deliver on the promise of our mission to the people of Louisiana. So very excited. I want to begin the President's report with just a quick remembrance of a gentleman that a colleague, a friend, Dr. Renee Cintron, all of you are aware, passed away December 6th of this past month. Untimely death, an individual that had tremendous impact on this organization. We will not today go into all of those details, but I would like to let you know that at the appropriate time, likely this spring, we will invite Dr. Cintron's daughters, 3 daughters, to join us for a board meeting where we can appropriately honor his service, but also be able to share with them the impact that Dr. Cintron has had on this organization continuing forward. I would ask that we pause for a moment of silence in honor of Dr. Renee Cintron. Thank you very much. The next item I want to mention to you is another personnel item, but I got to tell you, this one is bittersweet in so many ways. All of you have had an opportunity to work with over the years, a gentleman that in many regards needs no introduction in the Capitol, that's for sure. But it's Tommy Williams, who spent a lifetime working in industry, working for what was previously South Central Bell South. Tommy joined us here at the board office. My goodness, it's hard to believe, Tommy, but a second career you made right here at the LCTCS board office. I look back on the victories that we have had legislatively, looking back to 2008 when Tommy came to the board office. This gentleman was involved and executed on every single one of those victories. I could not be more proud to call him a friend and a colleague, a gentleman that accomplished something that very few can accomplish. For so many people, they walk into that building down there with their name and they walk out without it. The thing that I am most impressed with was Tommy Williams, is that in all the years that he spent in that Capitol, he walked out of there on the last day with his name. And I want to say to you, Tommy Williams, you are a mentor, a friend, someone that I am just darn proud that I had the opportunity to work alongside. I will miss our many rides around the state together, and look forward that you and Miss Bonnie can spend some time together and spend time with your family. I know a number of members have joined us here on the line. I hope I don't miss anyone here. If you don't mind, Tommy, I'm going to run through the group here. Let's see. I see Tom that is right beside Tommy there. Also see John Williams with us. Daryl, thank you for being with us as well. Lexi, good to see each one of you guys. Just thank you. Also see Michael there as well. Thank you for sharing Tommy Williams with us. What a tremendous legacy you have left in this organization. We have a number of presentations I'd like to make. I want to begin with the gentleman that reached out to us. I think that's important, Brian, that this guy understands that Brian McNabb, Chief of Staff to United States Senator Bill Cassidy, has been just an exceptional friend to our organization and to Tommy as well. Brian, I'd like to turn it over to you for a quick presentation.
Dr. Sullivan, thank you. And thank you, board members, for allowing me just to spend a couple moments with y'all this morning to honor an incredible man, as Dr. Sullivan said, somebody that everybody on this call respects, a guy who's honestly never met a stranger. And that's Mr. Tommy Williams. In fact, the senator and I were driving through the state a few weeks back, and somebody called us and said that Tommy Williams was retiring. And, it will come as no shock. I'm in politics, so about 20% of what I'm told is true. It's kind of like meteorology. They're wrong all the time. So I just blew it off, whatever, and just went on. The Lord will come back before Tommy Williams retires. But a couple days later, the senator and I got another phone call that said it's truth. So anyway, what Senator Cassidy wanted to do was just honor a dear friend and somebody who's been so good to us and been so loyal to the senator and our staff over the years, and whatever role he's been. Just an incredibly loyal person, a good friend. And so Senator Cassidy went to the floor of the Senate last week, and it will be forever etched into the congressional record on Wednesday, January 5th, 2022. So if you don't mind, I'll just read this really quick and I'll turn it back to you, Dr. Sullivan. Madam President, I rise today to congratulate Mr. Tommy Williams of Baton Rouge, Louisiana, on his retirement from the Louisiana Community and Technical College System. Serving as the Executive Director of Government Affairs for LCTCS for 13 years, Mr. Williams made monumental strides for the system, including one of his major legislative accomplishments, Act 360, which appropriated $500 million in capital improvements to all 12 LCTCS campuses throughout the great state of Louisiana. Prior to his service at LCTCS, Mr. Williams wore many hats during his tenure at Bell South, which spanned almost 4 decades. Serving as the company's executive director for legislative affairs in Louisiana, He represented the interests of Bell South for the Louisiana State Legislature in numerous regular and special sessions. He served as Bell South's Homa and Baton Rouge district manager, as well as vice president for regulatory and external affairs from 2003 to 2006. In addition to the lengthy list of professional accomplishments, Mr. Williams and his wife of 56 years, Ms. Bonnie Williams, devoted countless hours of their time volunteering for community-based nonprofit organizations. Mr. and Mrs. Williams are the proud parents of 4, grandparents of 8, and great-grandparents of 3. The state of Louisiana and all who have benefited from Mr. Williams' impressive efforts thank him for his diligent work. There is no doubt that his legacy will live on in the years to come and will serve as an inspiration to the next generation of community builders and leaders. And that is from U.S. Senator Bill Cassidy. So, Mr. Tommy, I know it's not goodbye, but congratulations. I'm still not believing it. But I look forward to keeping in touch. And again, I know your legacy is going to continue on even retirement and beyond. So, Dr. Sullivan, thanks to you and your members for allowing the senators this morning.
Absolutely. Brian, thank you. And certainly thank you to Senator Cassidy as well. Very much appreciated.
Amen.
If I can, I'd also I missed one member of the family. Michael Michael Allen is with us as well. I'm sorry, I didn't see you off the screen there, Michael. So thank you for joining us as well. I want to turn, if we can now, in thinking about how do you honor a gentleman that has given so much of his life to others in the way that Tommy Williams has. One of the ways that we have historically honored individuals is to name a scholarship in their honor. Today, given the tremendous contributions, Tommy, that you have made, that you and Miss Bonnie together have done over the 50 plus years that you've been married, today we create the Tommy Williams Scholarship Fund for those students seeking to attend two-year colleges in the state of Louisiana. Thank you for your legacy. Thank you for the commitment that you have shown to this organization. A very similar resolution that we have for you, signed by our board chair and myself. But at this point, I'd like to turn it over to you, Mr. Tommy, for a few words and just say thank you for all that you've given to this organization. Tommy?
Thank you very much, Bonnie. Chairman Price and members of the Board of Supervisors, currently members, and those that served in the past, Dr. Sullivan, and all of you. Y'all attest to me. Brian, thank you. Please express my appreciation to the senator. And thank you, Monty, for the scholarship. I appreciate that very much. As I contemplated what my response today was going to be, I promise you I will be brief. I think that doesn't surprise you. I couldn't get past the word thank you. Two words, thank you. Why? Because I have been blessed the last 13 years to be a member of the Lctcs team. I have learned a lot in these years, but I believe the most important that I have learned is the state is blessed to have Lctcs on what it provides to its citizens. The best is yet to come. I believe Lctcs is without a doubt the best entity in state government. An example, this past year, Senate Bill 148, an MJ Foster Promise Program bill, passed on final passage with 137 yes votes. There were 7 votes that were not even cast one way or the other. I will tell you that is extremely difficult and very unusual in that big building down there by the river. Why? Teamwork and trust in Lctcs by those 144 legislators. I appreciate my children being on here today. Start with Daryl and Tom in Birmingham, John, Lexi, and Michael. Let me close with one vow from my heart. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Tommy. And congratulations for getting through that without shedding a tear. We're proud of you.
Monty knows me well, as do the children. And I have Bonnie with me, and we worked hard on that not happening. But thank y'all from the heart.
Very good. If you don't mind, I'd like to open it up and ask if there are members of the board that would like to make comments on Tommy's retirement. Supervisor Hardy, Tim Hardy, I'm sorry.
Yeah, you have to be specific now. You can't even say the member of Omega Psi Phi and the brother, all right? So look, let me just say, I've looking at the screen, I've probably served on this board longer than most, probably with the exception of about 3 or 4 folks. So in the years that I have served, and also having been past chair, I must say that Tommy Williams' effectiveness, there's no question about it. But what I want to say and put emphasis on is that he's done it in a way that it was never about him. It was always about the organization. It was always about the success that we needed. And the way he did it with effectiveness, in a quiet way, and the way he elevated others, sometimes you didn't even know how you got elevated. It's how he did it. So Tommy, I want to say to you, thank you so much for what you have done. Thank you for lifting all of us. And thank you for doing it in such a way that sometimes we even got a way that we thought we had done it. No, you did it. So thank you so much. And I want to thank his family for sharing Tommy with us.
Thank you, Tim, very much.
Yeah, I would like to add a little bit. I got to know Tommy when I first got on this board. Of course, I didn't know who he was till I got on the board. Then I realized that everybody in Louisiana knew who he was except Paul. So I've just really enjoyed the relationship that we've had over the years, and I would just like to say that I've never met a kinder gentleman, and he's always very polite and very very nice to just everybody he's ever met that I've seen, and I'm just tickled to death to have gotten to know him and to call him a friend. And Tommy, I wish you the best, and I thank your family for sharing him with us all these years. And Lord, y'all don't really know. I mean, I guess you know, but he's really been a great asset to our system, and we're going to miss him. He's going to be hard to replace. I can guarantee you that.
Thank you, Paul. Thank you, sir.
Helen Carter and Tommy, I truly have to say, great man, and I've enjoyed working with you, and you've made me feel like that I was a real big part of everything, whether or not I was, but you are a big part of everything, and thank you for everything.
Thank you, Ms. Allen. Appreciate you.
Supervisor Bradford, excuse the bad noise, I'm driving. Tommy, it's been great getting to know you through this board, even though our paths had crossed so many times from my tenure with Senator Landrieu and Senator J. Bennett Johnston, and of course, Leadership Louisiana. But you always had time to talk and share different information. You exemplify the greatness of a great man. And so I just want to wish you well on your retirement. Don't be surprised if you still get a phone call from me asking you questions just about state legislature issues. But you are a wealth of knowledge, and I do not expect you to just sit home. But I do know that you have a lot of honeydew chores to get done. So get on your chores, and we just thank you for everything you've done and the contributions you've made to this great state.
Thank you, Tom. Appreciate that very much.
I see hands raised from Supervisor Toops, and then we'll go to Supervisor McConduit.
Tommy, after having watched House of Cards and Yellowstone, there's a Netflix special that falls right in between that you see. I don't know a time of having been on this board where there wasn't a Tommy Williams. And Tommy, to me, as a board member, you're phenomenal. As chairman, it migrates to indispensable. You showed me how to do it. You made things happen that probably shouldn't happen in nature, and especially around politics and around how Louisiana operates. What an amazing privilege for me to be able to just sit and watch. And I do know it was there, the gentle nudge with your hand on my back while we were doing it. I really, really appreciate it. And please know if there's anything I can do to ever repay that for you, even if you just need somebody to come carry ammo for you when you pig hunting or fishing, I'm your guy. I'll be there for you.
Stephen, I appreciate that. And as your remarks, I'm listening. I go back to that first time we met, although we knew each other in Baton Rouge, but up at Salida Bend. I forget what we were wrestling with, but whatever it was, we came up with the answer. But it had something to do with cell phone. I don't know what it was. Anyway, I appreciate that. I know you forget that. I can see you nodding. Thank you.
Tommy, for me, I always think the most impressionable people often don't know that they are having such an impact on other people. And that's what it was for me with you. When I came on the board, you were just this senior, most revered, quiet, sensible, strong, that like when you spoke up in the meetings, it was like, I knew to just like listen. And there's just such a calming and reassuring nature about your spirit that always kind of helps set the tone for me, and really set the tone for the board. So, while you may not have even known the true level of your impact, I just want to say thank you for your service, your guidance, and the impact that you had for new members. Now I've been on for several years, but certainly you have helped steer the course for so many of us. So just thank you and well wishes.
Thank you. I appreciate that very much. Very much.
I also see Willie Mount, right?
Yeah. Tommy and I go way back. We won't tell people how far we go back, but just how much I care for you. You're such a servant leader and so humble and kind with how you treat everyone. With a sterling reputation, you're just, in my books, a 5-star. So enjoy your life. We'll see you soon.
Thank you very much.
Well, Ms. Tommy, I said a second ago, you made it through without crying, but I don't know that you made it through that last little segment without shedding a tear. I'm pretty sure there may have been one there. But
Dr. Sullivan,
yes?
I apologize. We do have a couple of comments that would come in for Mr. Tommy, and I'd like to read them if that's okay.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so Chancellor Jim Carlson said that he tried to email Mr. Tommy, but we had already closed his email address. I'd like to congratulate Tommy and tell him that it's time to move back to Mandeville so you can take him to lunch. He much appreciates you and your guidance throughout the years and hopes to see you soon. Additionally, we have a comment from the Board of Regents. Monty, on behalf of the Board of Regents, please extend our congratulations to Mr. Tommy for his relentlessness commitment to LCTCS and his unshakable support for our higher education community. Godspeed and best wishes from the Board of Regents. And Mr. Tommy, I would like to let you know that as you finished up your comments to the board and to this group, that there was literal cheers in the hallway here at LCTCS. And I think there are maybe 6 of us in the building, and I could hear it in the conference room. Cheers, not out of joy for us, because we won't have you for our coffee chats or for our life advice that we always get from you on a very regular basis. So please know that you will be missed here in the hallways in a greater way that you will be missed anywhere else in the
Thank you, Sarah, very, very much. I will miss it. You know that. Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Let's turn to Supervisor Murphy, and then we'll go to Supervisor Smith, and then I'd like to turn to Ms. Tommy's family. Mr. Mickey? I think you're muted there, Supervisor Murphy.
Good coaching, Mr. President. Tommy, I also want to thank you for your so many contributions to this system and the work that you've done in advancing so many initiatives. I don't know of anyone that has done more to advance the mission and the scope of this system than you have. Your expertise in working with the folks over at the big house in getting the job done in such a unassuming demeanor that has been a credit to you in so many accomplishments that have affected so many people around this state and putting them in a position so that they could provide a livelihood for themselves and those folks depending upon them. It's just it's touching to me to have known and worked with you in these endeavors and your unsacrificing efforts. So I too want to wish you the best in your retirement and thank your family for sharing those long days and hours and nights with us. Thank you so much for what you've been able to accomplish, for not for us, but for the people in the state of Louisiana.
Thank you, Mickey, very, very much. Thank you, sir.
Supervisor Smith?
Just a quick question. Who is going to handle Benny if Tommy's not around?
It had to come.
Somebody had to say it. Thank you.
That needs to be a part of our strategic plan going forward.
Yes, sir, it does. You're right. Right. With that, let me open it up. And I, by the way, I did also see Scott. Scott, welcome. I did not get a chance to call your name. Thank you for being with us. But I want to open it up to the family and give you guys an opportunity to say a few words. Maybe Daryl, if you'd like, we'll start with you. Or I'm sorry, John, you were going to kick things off, right?
I'd be happy to, Dr. Sullivan. Thank you so much, Mr. President, and members of the board. I want to reiterate what my father said. Thank you. We've had an opportunity. I've had an opportunity to watch your success and his involvement with your organization and him representing you all at the Capitol for a number of years now. And it's been a real pleasure. It's been fun hearing the stories, hearing about the battles in the hallways, and it's great to hear the success. He looks at you all like family, and I know he's going to miss all of you. But we're not far. We're still here in Baton Rouge, so and I'm going to drag him up to the Capitol with me every now and then. Maybe it'll rub off on me a little bit. So thank you all, Dad. Congratulations from all of us. We're proud of you. You deserve it. So congratulations.
Thank you, John. Love you, buddy.
Got it.
Yeah, open it up to any of the other family members. Others?
Again, Dad, congratulations. We're proud of you. It's exciting to hear over the years what what you've been involved in, and it's really cool to hear how effective you've been. We know how effective you are at home. So it's again, like John said, y'all are all family. So it's neat to me being the relative that's in Birmingham, out of state. I'm not as close to the action. So I appreciate y'all letting us participate in this meeting too. It means a lot to our family. He means a lot to the family. Y'all mean a lot to him. So y'all mean a lot to us as well. So thank y'all.
Thank you, Tom. Others? Now, Lexi, someone told me that you've never met a stranger, so I can't imagine you're not going to have something to say, right?
If we're talking about me, it's probably my daughter, which probably got it from Poppy, is what we're thinking.
I got you. Very good. Other members of the family, you like to speak?
Can I tell them?
Yeah.
Can I speak?
Oh, Miss Bonnie.
How are y'all? I just want to compliment all of you all for the work you do with Lctcs. It's a passion of Tommy's, I know, and he appreciates your friendship and all the support that you've given him in the role he's played with you. You will be missed, but not forgotten. Love y'all.
Thank you guys so much. How about a round of applause for Tommy Williams? Tommy, enjoy, my friend. Tommy has had over the years a way of parting when we have a very serious conversation about an issue that we need to move on, and he would work his magic he would always part with me with the words being, "Leave it with me." Tommy Williams, leave it with us, my friend. What you've accomplished on behalf of this organization will be felt for generations to come. We are very proud of you, and can you imagine what a young man from Cantonment, Florida can accomplish when he sets his mind to it? We are very proud of you, my friend. Thank you.
Bonnie, thank you very, very much. Each one of you. This means an awful lot, and I wish you the best, and we're not going far, so thank you.
Very good. Thank you, guys. And thank you to the family for taking time to be with us today. All right, if I can, I'd like to transition a little bit to talk about some of the work that this board put forward and heard more about at our last meeting. It was a real deep dive into rural initiatives to try to find a way to solidify those rural campuses. And as part of that, there was a recommendation that we begin to think about how we broaden the program offerings in these rural communities. As you'll recall, we had 22 campuses that we identified some 4 or 5 years ago that had 50 or fewer students enrolled. The history of that is rural campuses that typically offer a series of 2 to 3 programs: practical nursing, typically a CNA credential, and likely a welding credential of some type, maybe one other program. So one of the recommendations from our friends that helped us to walk through this rural revitalization effort was really, how do we broaden the offerings to students out in those rural communities? Thankful to a few of our chancellors, Chancellor Rick Bateman from Bossier Parish Community College, Chancellor Strickland from Fletcher Technical Community College, and I believe also Chancellor Tina Tenney is with us from Nunez Community College to talk with you a little bit about the program sharing effort and the great work that is going on in implementing those recommendations.
Thank you, Dr. Sullivan. Appreciate that, teeing that up. Good morning, Chairman Price, members of the board. It is a pleasure and an honor to present to you with these 2 outstanding leaders. As Dr. Sullivan has shared, serving our rural communities is not an option, it is an imperative. And sharing courses and programs is one of the ways that we leverage system to accomplish this goal. First, we want to serve more students, especially those in underrepresented markets. Second, we want to share those programs that our colleges have built to establish particular expertise and to claim. And it's never been more important that we can deliver education and training opportunities at scale and with efficiency. BIPC has been involved in this work for a good while, going back to Lctcs Online. The college played a critical human resource role in the management of that enterprise. But more recently, what we have done is to offer partnerships with sister institutions to share distance education courses and programs through a shared revenue model that splits revenue evenly after costs with our partner colleges. And Dr. Strickland at Fletcher was the first to partner with us in this way. And she did so a few years ago and continues to do so. Dr. Tenney has partnered with us to begin to offer BIPC's nationally recognized cyber technology programs that will begin this fall. And I'd be remiss if I didn't add that both of these leaders are also working with other institutions in this way to share some of their own programs that they have where they have expertise. And with that, I'd like to invite my colleague and friend, Dr. Strickland, to share a bit about the work that we've done together and some of the other program sharing that she's engaged in to leverage the collective strength of our system. Christine?
Thank you, Chancellor Bateman. And Chairman Price, President Sullivan, members of the board, thank you for allowing me to be here with you today. We did start with some course sharing with Bossier Parish a couple of years back and saw an opportunity to leverage BIPC's strengths in the online environment, as well as some really unique and innovative things they were doing in terms of Maymester, so the period between when we end the spring semester and we begin a summer semester, and then again a winter intersession, allowing students to continue their studies after the end of the fall semester before we entered into the spring. And those were very successful for us. We were able to on-ramp into those programs very quickly, provide those opportunities to students, so that they could continue to pursue their education without even needing to take gaps, which I think is becoming more and more important for our adult learners, right? That they are not on a traditional semester schedule. A lot of times life is happening and they need to move along with their studies. And so really pleased to be able to offer that to so many of our Fletcher students. Chancellor Bateman mentioned the cyber program. At Fletcher, as we work through our consortium for the new Marine campus in Homa, we are looking to take that program that they have built that is so strong, and we are working to take that and tweak it a little bit so that it will be for our maritime industry. So you have the wonderful program at BITSI and cybersecurity, and then what you'll see in this partnership is a cybersecurity program that's focused on ports and vessels, which is a tremendous need for our state and for our region and our nation. And so the opportunity, again, to leverage that expertise and to expand upon it and build upon it. Fletcher itself is now in partnership with a number of our other institutions around the state to offer the care and development of young children program. We invested dollars to make sure that we were able to deliver an online program that was not only state of the art, but top quality. And so now we are able to offer that to other institutions who maybe don't have that program, but have a similar workforce need in their region, which is important as we move forward. The last thing I just want to mention is that throughout all of these partnerships, one of the things that I learned is that post-Hurricane Ida, one of the beautiful benefits of this was that we were able to help our students continue their education while our campuses were shuttered. We were able, through these partnerships, for instance, to stand up this winter intersession that we just had, where students could continue their studies even as Fletcher continued to recover post-storm. So it provided a continuity that we would likely not have had otherwise. So I want to thank Chancellor Bateman, and I'll turn it over to Chancellor Tinney to talk a little bit about some of the initiatives over at Nunez. Thank you all.
Thank you, Christine. Good morning, Mr. Chairman, Dr. Sullivan, members of the board. Thank you for the opportunity to share with you just how impactful it is for us to have the opportunity to leverage resources and share programs for our college. As you know, Nunez Community College is one of the smaller colleges in our system, but we still are obligated to do big things. And we have a responsibility to serve our students in our community, but we also have a fiduciary responsibility. And the reality is we can't be all things to all people, but we certainly have a commitment to supporting our students and the community that we serve. So the opportunity to share programs is something that we have delved into so that we're not duplicating effort in many regards, as well as being able to leverage those resources. Just to provide an example, I've learned that lesson through our work collectively with Delgado and North Shore Technical Community College as we work to create a mechatronics program so that we could leverage the resources across the entire region that we serve, and had the opportunity to work with my colleagues. And this is another opportunity for us to work in a very meaningful way. As you may be aware, in our particular region in St. Bernard Parish, there's a conversation regarding the expansion of the port. And so we have been very strategic and intentional about looking at programs that will support that expansion and the maritime work. And so cybersecurity is something that supports so many of our industry partners, but is particularly important to the port conversations that we've had. So I've had the opportunity to work with those close to us in the region, but this allows me to connect with one of my colleagues in the northern part of the state in order to be able to bring a program without duplicating, having to create the program, identify expert faculty members, and so forth. So it's incredibly impactful. And I just want to publicly state that when I first worked within the Lctcs system, it was in 1999. And quite frankly, it was a bit of a different feel where colleges were somewhat territorial as we tried to identify students and create programs. And this is a very different system. I'm both very privileged and blessed to work with a group of colleagues as chancellors in this state who are truly coming from the vantage point of providing the services to our students and our communities, but also to the state of Louisiana. So I appreciate the work that's done to create our programs, to support our programs, and the ability to share that work with our communities that we serve.
Very good. Thank you to each of you for the incredible work that you're doing. I want to share one small snippet that I think is the part of the upshot of all of this great work. You'll recall a few years ago, we developed a 12 college broad Amazon Web Services, AWS, cloud computing degree program. Oftentimes in rural communities, I hear chancellors say it's really tough to go into a rural community and develop programs and educate and skill people that means they have to leave to go to work. That's a tough set of circumstances. The first 2 graduates of our cloud computing degree program came from rural communities in Louisiana, and they still live in their rural community, and they're working, taking care of their families, making in excess of $50,000 a year. That's the direction that we have to find more of. When you hear Chancellor Tenney talk about the ports and cybersecurity, those responsibilities are the ones that we bring to bear on behalf of these rural communities. You asked for it as a part of our rural initiatives, and these chancellors are out delivering. So let me pause there and ask if there are any questions of our chancellors. All right, hearing none, thank you guys for all the great work, and we'll transition now to very quickly to our college updates. As you know, this is one of my favorite times of the board meeting, is to get an opportunity to talk about the great work that is going on at each one of our colleges, specifically up at Bossier Parish Community College, where the college raised just in the last quarter of 2021, raised $440,000. In addition to that, the college is also seeking matching funds from the state for an additional $210,000. Increasing the net assets of the foundation by over $650,000 in a single year. Great work on behalf of the Bossier Parish Community College team. At Central Louisiana Technical Community College in Alexandria, the college was identified as one of 150 candidates for the prestigious $1 million Aspen Institute Prize that is offered up annually. Also nominated for and identified as a part of that 150 is South Louisiana Community College. Also want to mention the activities around the 70th year anniversary of Fletcher Technical Community College are wrapping up. We look forward, perhaps at the February meeting, we can share a little more information, a nice video that was done around that anniversary as well. And at North Shore Technical Community College, Governor John Bel Edwards recently announced a $50 million expansion of Interlocks in Hammond. Interlocks is a leading partner in the mechatronics apprenticeship program that you heard Chancellor Tenney mention a few minutes ago, and has hired 7 of the mechatronics apprentices to date. This program would not be possible without the collaborative efforts of Delgado, Nunez, and North Shore, and our partners at GNO Inc. Thank you to Chancellor Wainwright for the great work there. At River Parishes Community College, the foundation has raised a total of $503,000 during this past year. But as though that's not enough, they started off the 2022 year with even more donations, noting that they will already have commitments and in-kind donations of over $240,000 for the fiscal year 2022. Very excited to see what is going on with the River Parishes Community College Foundation, and thankful for Interim Chancellor Jim Carlson for the great leadership there. Finally, I'll wrap it up with Sewella Technical Community College, where the School of Business and Applied Technology has earned the highly sought after certification from the Accreditation Council for Business Schools and Programs. That is one of only 8 institutions in the state of Louisiana to be recognized as such. Congratulations to Chancellor Aspinwall and his team. That is a quick tour around the system to give you a little bit of a flavor of some of the things that are going on. With that, we will turn our attention now to the board development segment. I'd like to ask if Chancellor Strickland and Quentin Taylor might be able to join us for a quick board development presentation and update around the MJ Foster Promise program implementation. Let's see here, guys. Who's going to take the lead? Quentin, you want to jump in and kick us off?
Sure, I can go first. Good morning, members of the board, Chair Price, Dr. Sullivan, and a welcome to our newest board member, Ms. Cynthia Butler McIntyre. Welcome. Look forward to working with you as we move forward with our work together. So if I could, I'd like to go ahead and either share my screen, or if Sarah can go ahead and share the screen for me. And Sarah, you can drive or I can drive.
Quentin, can you see if you can share on your end? And if not, I definitely will share. I have it open and ready to go.
So let's see. No, it says it's disabled. But no worries, if you want to go ahead and drive. That's fine. So while Sarah gets that pulled up for us, as you all know, and we've talked about it here with the celebration of Mr. Tommy, the MJ Foster Promise Program is a game changer for us, as the legislature approved it this past summer. What I can tell you is a lot of work has happened, not just here at the system office, or in our system, I should say, but throughout the state with our partners over at LOSFA, our partners over at LSUE, as well as Southern Shreveport have also been very engaged and active partners in this process. And so what I want to do now is provide you with a brief update on where we are with our marketing and our fundraising efforts around the MJ Foster Promise program. But before I do that, since we have some new board members and it has been a while, let me kind of give you a quick refresh on what the MJ Foster Promise program is about. Next slide, Sarah. This is our attempt, and we've been at this now for several years, is how do we help adults 21 and older in Louisiana who are either underemployed or unemployed, or quite frankly, just want a chance to improve their life through education and training. Historically, there has not been a program or a financial aid program that allows adults to access this training. So this legislation calls for the funding of about $10.5 million to help adults do just that, get back on the on-ramp and access training across these 5 fields you see to your left: construction, healthcare, information technology, manufacturing, transportation, and warehousing. What we've done is, within those 5 program areas, we've identified 155 occupations that align to these program areas. 78, I can't see because of this happens all the time. Give me 1 second, I need to move so I can read what's on the screen here. Here we go. 78 programs at the associates or below level, and then 60 non-credit short-term workforce credentials of value, all fall within those 5 program areas that you see there to the left of the screen. Next slide, Sarah. Here are just a quick few examples. You'll see here for information technology as an example, computer network architects, starting salary around $79,000, manufacturing, machinists, $49,000, transportation, automotive service tech starting at about $39,000 to $40,000. And then of course, one of the most in-demand programs and occupations in the country, quite frankly, CDL and heavy tractor equipment operators starting at around $42,000 to $43,000. Next slide, please. So how do we get the word out about this great program that's now available? Let's be honest, this is a disenfranchised population for the most part. A couple of things have happened in their life, and Dr. Southern likes to call it the school of hard knocks, right? And so it's been a while, quite frankly, since many of them have engaged in the process to even get into college. And so what we know to be true is that it will require a different approach, right? We know for the most part that 18-year-old kids, they know about college, they know about the process, they know about the FAFSA, they know about applying for scholarships. So it's kind of second nature for them. But when you're a 40-something-year-old single mother of 3, and your life has been about getting through every day, providing for your family, this is the furthest thing from your mind. And so our plan is to be strategic. Our plan is to dive deep and cast a very wide net. Our plan is for us to be on every turn that a person makes. They're going to either see, hear, or about the MJ Foster Promise program. And so next slide, Sarah. What does that look like? So we're going to have social media ads that a person will see on their device. We realize the power of this smartphone. They're going to see television statewide. There's radio in select markets. We're going to have billboards in select markets, digital display ads statewide, and then search engine marketing. So what is a digital display ad? What does that even mean, right? So whatever your favorite website that you visit, and this is targeted. So if a 46-year-old man likely goes to see ESPN.com or his favorite sports app, there's a chance that, not a chance, they will see the MJ Foster Promise Program delivered right on their device. So whether it's their laptop, if it's this phone, they'll see the MJ Foster ads. And so what happens then is when they engage and they touch this device, it then takes them to a landing page with what you see here to your right in this flow process map. So they'll go to that landing page, and at some point, we're going to ask them for some information. Once we capture that information, they then fall into what's over here, what they call 12 recruit instances. And that is our ability at that point to market to them long-term through email and or text messaging. And those emails are pretty simple. The first one is, hey, Sarah, thank you so much for your interest in the MJ Foster's Promise Program. Let us help you get started. The second email might be, hey, Sarah, you reached out to us. We've reached out to you. We haven't heard from you. How can we help you take the next step to change your life? And so a series of those emails until such time that Sarah makes the decision that she's ready to change her life and attend one of our colleges through the MJ Foster Promise Program. I think what's critically important here is that because this program does have certain requirements, not everybody who's 21 years old and older is going to qualify for it. But we're adopting a model internally, and we're going to try to spread this out throughout the organization, is that the answer is never no. The answer is never, you don't qualify for the MJ Foster Promise Program, so therefore we can help you. There are certain pots of funding available that our model has to become yes. And it's up to us to find those revenue streams for individuals who might not qualify for the Foster's Promise Program, but they may qualify for something else. And so that's also part of this communications and marketing outreach campaign. So what does it look like? Here is a brief visual of our MJ Foster Promise campaign. And it is purposeful with the colors and the branding. It's going to be consistent across our colleges, consistent from the messaging and things that we send out. Here's a sample of what the outdoor looks like. Next slide, Sarah. It's real simple. Our promise for your future MJ Foster Promise Program drives them to the website. You'll see here to the right, that is a sample of what a bus stop ad might look like. Next slide, Sarah. This is a sample of what some of the social media might look like. We're looking at mirrored ads on Facebook and TikTok, and all the other social media platforms. It's going to be engaging and try to encourage users to learn more about the program. Next slide. So what does that form look like? So I told you when a person interacts with this device and they taps it, it's going to take them to this landing page that you see here. And right below that is this form, right? It gives them 5 quick sort of eligibility requirements. To the right, then they will input that information. And when they hit submit, they're going to automatically get a communication. And that triggers those series of emails and text messages that I talked about on a few slides over. Next slide, Sarah. And then this is just an example of what some of the website will look like. When a person comes and engages and they press construction, it's going to then take them to a page that shows you the various programs that I showed you, and then what the occupations are, and then what the credential required to earn to try to then go out and try to get employed in that field. Next slide, Sarah. And then this is an example of that email campaign. So Sarah went in, she selected that she's interested in CLTCC. This is what that one, and a sample of what those emails will begin to look like. It gives the individual step by step the process that's involved in this. Step 1, complete your FAFSA. Step 2, complete your application, so on and so forth. And I believe, oh, so that's it in terms of the marketing campaign. So let's talk about the fundraising campaign. Next slide, Sarah. So what we know is a comprehensive multi-year statewide campaign is not inexpensive. We realize that we're going to have to go out and raise some funds to sustain such an investment to market to this group. What research tells us is that the regular consumer, the educated consumer, myself and all of us here on this board and in our office, we fall into that educated consumer category. Even for us, it takes typically between 6 to 8 engagements before we make the purchase, unless you're an impulse shopper, right? But by and large, when it comes to making large investments or purchases, it takes between 6 and 8 engagements to make a decision. We talked about this population being disenfranchised. And so what we know is it's going to take more than 6 to 8 touch points. It's likely going to take 15 to 20 times for them to engage with our marketing efforts before they made the decision to try to change their life and begin the process. What I'm excited about is that, and Dr. Strickland will talk about this in a few minutes here, is we're making a conscious effort to make sure that the process is easier and simpler for this population of individuals. So what is the MJ Foster fundraising campaign? It is securing the future of our workforce. It is a 3-year campaign with a $5 million goal to be raised over the course of 3 years. What I can tell you is our foundation board is actively engaged, and our advancement officers are actively engaged. They helped us to put together our case for support. We have begun to have silent meetings with some potential donors. I'm happy to say that those meetings are going extremely well. It is our hope that at the February meeting, we'll be able to have a public announcement of that first lead donor. And that first lead donor, we're confident will also then spur other large gifts. And so excited about that. Look forward to coming back to this board in February. Next slide, Sarah. So what are we going to be raising this money for? Okay. We know that the creation of this financial aid program brings about a new set of challenges, and they include the need to number one, create, implement a re-envisioned student support services and student onboarding process. Number two, we've got to improve our infrastructure to accommodate an influx of new students by upgrading some of our program equipment, supplementing expensive in-demand training programs. You recall, you heard me talk about this CDL boom and the demand there. Well, let's be honest, that is an expensive program to operate. And we've got to go out and try to raise funds to help our colleges to be able to offset some of those expenses to offer such programs. And then number three, I've already said this, we got to implement a comprehensive awareness and outreach initiative to meet these disenfranchised adult students where they are. And so in closing, this is our plan. We will be sending out to this board these materials. Obviously, if you have any questions about fundraising, if you want to be engaged in the fundraising, we're here to help. And if you want to set up any meetings, also, we're here to help go out and try to raise those funds. And so with that, I'm happy to answer any questions, Chair Price or Dr. Sullivan.
All right, a lot of information there in a relatively short period of time. So let me turn to the board members and just ask any questions from the group. And Sarah, if you'd like, we can unshare the screen there so we can see everyone. All right.
It looks like a well thought out plan to me. First time around is always the hardest.
Yes, you're right. Just to give you a little bit of sense of time frame, about the March time frame, you can imagine we'll begin to see some of these applications begin to flow through. The first students will not be able to enroll until July 1. So you kind of get a sense of the time frame of what we're expecting here. And this is going to be exciting, guys. We're very much amped up for it. So if there are no questions for Chancellor
I have a quick question, just Monty, sorry. Quentin, You said that it's an aggressive campaign, certainly to raise the 5 million. Any thoughts on targets?
As far as donors?
Yes.
Oh, no, absolutely. So so it's twofold. Number one, we're looking at industry and companies who hire our people, right? They have a vested interest in ensuring that we're able to continue to meet their needs from a workforce development standpoint. So that is our number one primary target. Number two, our second target are companies who may not have engaged with us from a workforce development standpoint, but who have supported us over the years, right? And then number three, we're also looking at companies that we do business with, right? We are a large organization and we spend a lot of money locally and nationally. And so we're knocking on their doors as well to say, we need for you to invest back into our organization in a way that we help, in a way that we have a business relationship. So those are the three primary targets. I will say that at some point we will do an internal giving campaign around this. And our people give, a lot with their heart because they're passionate about this work. But I believe in order for us to reach the goal, it's going to take those larger organizations and companies that we do business with and the ones that hire our people.
Very good. Other questions? All right. Thank you very much, Quentin. Very well done.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, that concludes the President's report and the board development session, and I'll turn back to you for the academic committee. I'm sorry. I will turn back to you for the committee of the whole. Sorry.
Yeah, well, I knew you were trying to confuse me, and I appreciate that very much. At this point, I would like to present the committee of the whole item for consideration by the board, which is reaching equitable prosperity by 2030.
Mr. Chairman, I will take that one. And Katie, if you will, if we can upload the presentation. I want to begin particularly for those that are relatively new to the board. You'll will recall that we had put in place back in 2014 a 6-year strategic direction. We have built much of our policy infrastructure around that, both in terms of the goals as to how we will be measured, be it for your system president and your chancellors, be it for the chancellors as they begin to look at performance of their institutions and the executive teams that report to them. At the conclusion, you can click forward, Katie. At the conclusion of that 6-year plan, what we were able to report back to you was the accomplishment of 4 of those 6 goals. You'll recall that goal 1, we made tremendous progress on doubling the number of graduates. We went from 19,810 graduates in 2014 to over 33,500 graduates in 2020. But we didn't meet the goal. We made great progress, probably as much progress as anyone in the nation in terms of increasing the number of graduates. But we know that is an important component. So as we look at the other goal that we were not successful in hitting, and that is the doubling the number of students that we would serve annually, going to 325,000. We know for a whole host of reasons why we didn't hit that goal, and perhaps one of the more concerning parts of it is that typically student enrollment has become more and more part of the total resource base for the college, and so funding that mission becomes more and more important. The best news, we doubled the earnings of our graduating class. We quadrupled or more than quadrupled the number of graduates or transfers going on to 4-year institutions. We more than quadrupled the number of business partnerships, and we more than doubled the foundation assets. We had a tremendous 6 years. The question now becomes, what's next? And so that what's next, we have spent a great deal of time. These 6 goals were developed by a gentleman that many of you remember by the name of Woody Auger, who was then chair of the Board of Supervisors, myself, and the leadership team, 12 chancellors. We came up with these 6 goals. Well, next slide. As we begin to think about what's next, we know as an organization, we have to begin to broaden the base of who's involved. We need faculty involved. We need staff involved. We need people from lots of different perspectives to help us to think about the next strategic plan for our organization. The list that you see in front of you is a broad list of individuals, including board members, chancellors, Lctcs staff members, and representatives from each one of those critical areas that came together over a period of several months. Even noticed Joshua Turner, a student board member who was engaged in this process as well. So trying to allow for broad input as to what our next set of goals should look like. Katie? Here's the timeline that we developed. If you look back to September of 21, begin gathering that feedback throughout the fall semester. Lots of great engagement by those members, and certainly want to point out one of the key members of that group is Dr. Renee Cintron, who led the effort as staff, and certainly want to point out the great work that he has done in getting us as an organization to this point. You will see there that we're looking for a January 2022 proposal to the board to approve the strategic direction. Again, I don't call it a strategic plan because it's not a 20 or 30 goals or metrics. It really is a strategic direction that then allows us as an organization to begin to move in accomplishing those and identifying those key metrics that matter to the leadership team. Moving along to August of 2022, where those reaching equitable prosperity by 2030 is fully implemented and is data being collected, reported as a part of our annual performance evaluation for leadership and really integrated within the institution. So that is that 6-month period. So after 8-9 months of working together, this group came back with what I would refer to as 3 big buckets of the promise. The first is quantity. Change in educational attainment. We have to increase the number of people in Louisiana that are educated and skilled and able to take care of themselves. It's a relatively straightforward concept. We'll talk about the numbers in a few minutes. On the quality front, we also have to ensure that those graduates are getting a quality education that allows them to make a living. Very similar to some of the language that we saw in the previous plan. The piece that probably got more focus this time around was on equity. What we know for sure from the data that you have seen is that our production has been great, but we haven't reached that point where students of color, students that are first generation attendees, students that are financial aid recipients are able to complete and gain that success at the same rate as students who don't fit into those categories. That's the equity component. So these were the 3 big buckets that the group came back with. Again, quantity, quality, and equity. Katie, next slide. And through a tremendous amount of data review, they were able to boil this down into very simple phrases. So under quantity, graduate 330,000 individuals by 2030. The second point, quality, who earn on average 150% above the median income for Louisiana. You can see the numbers listed there. Median's 27,923, 150% is about 41, almost 42,000. Again, important that we recognize what quality looks like. And then finally, a focus on equity, and that focus is on diversity and inclusion of individuals from a whole range of backgrounds to ensure that Louisiana's workforce is representative of who Louisiana is. Katie? A little bit of a comparison as to the before and after. Under 2020, you come to know those very well, 6 common goals across all the colleges. We lack common data definitions when we approved the plan. There was a lot of work in the first year, 2 years to really sort of solidify and put that plan in place. Our next goals, a common promise, common definitions already in place, 4 years of consistent historical data already in place. Cumulative goal, instead of looking at 40,000 graduates a year, we're now talking about a 330,000 impact across the state of Louisiana. So it also gives consideration for regional needs and targets as well. Katie, next. This is the proposed strategic direction for the Lctcs for 2022 through 2030, and that is reaching equitable prosperity by 2030. Focusing on equity and inclusion, Lctcs will graduate 330,000 individuals by 2030 who earn an average of 150% above the median income. Now, that was a relatively quick run through of the work that has gone on really over 8 or 9 months. I want to point out a couple of quick points and then we'll open it up for discussion. First and foremost, this represents a strategic direction that is much more concise and directed than the last plan. The second point that I would mention to you is it is very much focused on and aligned with the Board of Regents master plan, which I think is a really important component that we are all pulling in the same direction. The third aspect is this plan is one that is all about the people of Louisiana, not about our colleges, not about us, but about what we are doing on behalf of the people of Louisiana. With that, what I would suggest to you, if the board is so inclined, would be glad to recommend to you or provide that recommendation, Ms. Chairman, and then we can open it up for comments. So with that, staff recommends that the board approve Reaching Equitable Prosperity by 2030 as the LCTCS strategic plan from 2022 to 2030. Mr. Chairman, that is the recommendation, and if you'd like, maybe we can open it up for comments.
Sure. Do we need to have a motion and a second before comments, or is that?
Sure. We can do that. Yes.
Yeah. We have a motion.
Motion by Ms. Mountain, a second by Ms. McConduit.
Okay, we got a motion and a second. Now is any discussion?
I just want to comment just to say kudos to everybody that was involved, the hard work and the specificity that they confronted. And I really like that simple message and how we're going to do what we're going to do, when we're going to do it. Best I've seen in a long time. So good job.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
Agreed.
I do want to, if I can, I'm sorry, Supervisor Jackson, there was one point that I left out.
Go ahead.
That was specifically a question that was asked, I believe, at the last board meeting that I wanted to circle back to. I believe it was Supervisor Roman Hardy who asked the question, what does 330,000 look like? Are we simply doing more of the same, or is there something more that we're adding to the mix? Supervisor Hardy, I spent a lot of time thinking about that question, and there are two responses that I want to point to. Number one, I think one of the most difficult lifts for any organization in 2022 is equity. It is a skill set that we as an organization need to develop and hone. So we are certainly doing something different as it relates to equity, no doubt. But the second piece of that is, if you look at just the raw numbers of 330,000 divided by 8 years, which is the time frame, clearly we have to produce more than 40,000 graduates a year on average in order to get to 330,000. So in some ways, it is a different way of stating the goal that was in place previously, but again, aligned with the market. So Supervisor Hardy, you really sort of gave us a lot to think about. I just wanted to be sure that I'd gone back and responded to that question. So with that, Supervisor Jackson, I'll turn to you.
No, I just wanted to say and compliment the task force on the plan. It's certainly an aggressive undertaking over 8 years. You touched a bit about my comment. It's an 8-year plan, and has the task force looked at, will it be targets, 2-year targets, yearly targets, so we'll know if we're going in the right direction, if we need to modify or change things. So that's my comment.
Absolutely, and that's that is part of that skill set that we built over the last 4 to 5 years. Was identifying the data flow processes. So as an example, we will have the first 6 months. So really assuming approval sort of February through about June, July, we'll have a chance to go through and make sure that the data for the current year makes sense and that everybody's on the same page about it, and then begin to project out year by year targets. Those year by year targets will be negotiated. I will negotiate those individually with the chancellors, college by college. And those targets are what are used largely to make up the evaluation for each one of those leaders. So there will be specific numbers annually, and we'll have an opportunity to talk about, here's what we targeted, here's what we hit as a system.
Any other questions or comments? Any opposition to the motion as presented? Hearing none, I would say that motion carried.
Very good. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate it. Supervisor Mao, would you present the academics items for consideration to the board?
Be happy to. Item number 2, Delgado Community College honorary degree. What staffers covering that?
Yeah, let's see. I will handle that one. We've got a little bit of a staffing challenge. I think Chancellor Staub will make the quick presentation on this one as well. But let me read the recommendation just to give you a little bit of a sense of what we're dealing with. Staff recommends that the board approve Delgado Community College's request to confer an honorary degree, Associate of Arts in Humane Letters, to Mr. Lawrence Brooks. And I want to turn this over to Chancellor Staub, if we can, to give a little bit more background on the reason behind this request, and then we'll come back around and deal with the item after we wrap that up. So Chancellor, turn to you.
Good morning, and thank you, Board Chairman Price, Board Supervisors, and Dr. Sullivan. When Delgado Community College opened in 1921, the country was healing from World War I. In December 1941, a mere 20 years after Delgado opened, World War II began. Delgado's training programs in aviation, carpentry, metalworking, and machining provided a robust workforce in New Orleans to assist with the nation's war efforts. Responding to the high production demands, Delgado students attended classes in Delgado Hall, then walked a short distance next door to the Higgins plant. Tom Brokaw coined the term, the greatest generation, to describe how Americans during World War II embodied the ideals of patriotism, perseverance, and hard work. Mr. Lawrence Brooks, the gentleman who Delgado seeks to honor by conferring an honorary degree posthumously, passed away last Wednesday. Mr. Brooks was 112 years old, and he was America's oldest living World War II veteran. Mr. Brooks truly represents the greatest generation because of his immense commitment to duty, service, and our country. When recently asked what he thought his legacy should be, he said, "I would like to be remembered as a strong man and a good soldier." As Delgado celebrates its centennial year, we cannot think of anyone better who exemplifies the ideals of generations of Delgado graduates and the millions of veterans who have served our nation at home and overseas. As Chancellor of Delgado Community College, I recommend the honorary degree of Associate Arts in Humane Letters be bestowed posthumously to Mr. Lawrence Brooks, and this action by the board and the college will be remembered with pride by generations to come. Thank you so much for your consideration of this request.
Thank you, Chancellor. Very well done. Do we hear a motion?
Wow, yes.
So moved.
I'll second
Everybody
it.
at once, right?
I know it's you looking
Yeah.
down trying to see.
Excellent. So I think we have a motion and a second.
Yeah.
Any opposition? Hearing none, that item is approved, Chancellor.
Amen.
Okay.
Outstanding.
Thank you, Monty. Item number 3, update on the COE and the SACS COC accreditation actions. I think we can start with Jimmy
Yes.
Sawtell.
I believe Amy Cable is going to handle that one for us. Amy, if
Okay.
you could kind of set that one up, and then we'll turn to each one of the chancellors.
Absolutely. So good morning, members of the board and Chair Price. In an effort to move forward with Socc COC accreditation, LCTCS has worked in tandem with various community colleges to move them along in the accreditation process. So at this time, I would like to welcome Dr. Vincent June with South Louisiana Community College, Earl Metter with Northwest Louisiana Community and Technical College, and Jimmy Sawtell with Central Community College to provide some brief updates. And we'll start with Dr. Vincent June.
I'm sorry, Dr. June, we can't hear you. Unmute.
Good morning. I apologize. And Happy New Year to everyone. I am battling with a sinus infection and some other things, so please forgive the tone of my voice this morning. At any rate, South Louisiana Community College submitted its second monitoring report that included assessment results from fall 2019 through fall 2020. During that time, assessment evaluation report was presented with results, and it was also used for improvement where we included the 2019-20 academic year, but the results from 2020 and 2021 academic year were also in progress during that time. So in June of 2021 of last year, the Socc board voted to continue SLCC accreditation. And at that time, they placed the college on probation with good cause for the two student outcomes around the learning standards. And then summer of 2021, a decision was made by SLCC to report assessment outcomes and the cycles on a semester basis versus an annual basis, which is where the confusion occurred. We were actually reporting on an annual basis, and they actually wanted it reported on a semester basis. So what we did since then is had a conversation with our Socc COC Vice President, Dr. Michael Hofer, to discuss our plan and to make sure that we were on target, looking at both standards 8.2A and also looking at standards 8.2B. Dr. Hofer did confirm that these were the appropriate steps to address the concerns of the second monitoring report that was reviewed by the team, and that the delivery of those results as described would demonstrate compliance with the two standards. What we anticipate is this coming March of 2022, a third monitoring report will be submitted to the Socc office to demonstrate the improvement as reported for both 2019 and 2020 academic year. And then also we will include in that our fall 2020, which we just completed. We will also include spring 2021 and summer 2021. And obviously this will show multiple complete iterations of the assessment process. The monitoring report that we will provide to Socc COC will also support their special visit that is slated for March of 2022. So we're looking at submitting that in March, and we're looking at a special visit sometime in spring, which is, I think the dates are around April 26th and 26th through the 28th. So we're very much looking forward to getting this cloud from over our heads. I feel very, very strong about where we are relative to our assessments. Dr. Crystal Lee, who is our new Vice Chancellor for Academic and Student Affairs, she has, like me, she has a lot of experience in that. We've been working very closely with Dr. Wendy Palermo, and Bill Tulak has been very supportive as well. So we anticipate a very clean visit this coming April, and we're looking forward to a follow-up shortly thereafter at the June board meeting.
Very good, Chancellor. Any questions of Chancellor June? Very good. Let's maybe turn next to Chancellor Sawtelle up at Central Louisiana Technical Community College.
Good morning, Chair Price, Dr. Sullivan, and members of the board. Happy New Year and greetings from beautiful downtown Alexandria. In giving the update, I wanted to give a little bit of a historical going back about 10 months. In March of 2021, we had our COE virtual team visit, and that report yielded one finding and one commendation. Now, we're very pleased with that, but they are going to be coming in person, a small team, in August of this year, so that they can look at the facilities and make sure that their report agreed with what our facilities look like and our teams look like, et cetera. So we'll keep you posted on that. In the same month, March of 2021, Dr. Sullivan challenged CLTCC to advance our application and submit it 5 months earlier than originally scheduled. That would have been April 2021. Dr. Sullivan didn't merely bring the challenge, he brought significant and critical resources so that that goal could be accomplished, and we are very, very grateful. While time doesn't allow us to thank everyone that participated in helping us, we would be remiss if we didn't share our thanks and our recognition of the LCTCS system staff, fellow chancellors, and their colleges who assisted in this. Not only did they assist with the application, but they also helped to develop along the way our team. Some were seasoned, some were not as seasoned in Socc, although we had just gone through COE. And we were able to continually develop a team based on best practice and good practice across the state. While I may not be able to share everyone's name at this point, and I pledge to do that at some point, I would like to remember and give honor where honor is due to a dear friend of mine and this college, Dr. Renee Cintron. We will be eternally grateful for the years of support that he gave towards this application, and he shares in our continued success. We submitted our Socc application in April of last year, and along the way continued good communications with them. I can't say enough for their extraordinary team led by Dr. Ann Shard, who has been extremely communicative with us, very supportive of us, even gave us direction and guidance in terms of fortifying our application along the way. And they returned to us official feedback in November of 2021. Our team and our extended team immediately turned our attention and began updating that application. Our plan is to deliver the updated application by or before the due date of mid-March of this year. And hopefully it will be looked at and reviewed by the Socc board in summer of this year. As you'll know, they meet twice a year, and so summer and December are the two times that they convene. While we are making significant progress, again, because of the reasons I mentioned earlier, there are some things that are being assembled as we move forward. Of course, we have to have an annual audit, and that is scheduled to be delivered between now and March so that we can include it. And there are other concerns, but we are addressing them in real time and with the assistance of the system office, for which we are very grateful. Thank you, Dr. Sullivan. Thank you, board. I think you would agree that the team here at CLTCC and our extended partners and team members have done a very good work in terms of making this initiative not just CLTCC's, but a statewide concern for the betterment of the entire state. Thank you, sir.
Chancellor, if I may, I just want to check the temperature a little bit and make sure the board kind of has an expectation. With this application having gone in March of this past year, the feedback received, the response back to the feedback, assuming we are able to get to the June 2022 agenda for Socc, we could hold a fall candidacy visit at Central Louisiana Technical Community College, which then could lead to an action December of 22 that grants a college candidacy. That would be the best case scenario. Now, I want to be really clear. There's a lot of things that have to come together to make that happen. But I also want to make clear to you that we've had colleges go through this process before, and it has taken years. A concerted effort with specific resources to get this thing done in a short order is what we are attempting to do. Let me turn now to the college that's just about a clip behind Central Louisiana Technical Community College. That is Northwest Louisiana Technical Community College, led by Chancellor Earl Metter. Chancellor?
Chairman Price, Board of Supervisors, President Sullivan. In late 2017, Northwest Louisiana Technical College began the transformative journey to become a technical community college. The journey began with complete reorganization of every program to assure the relevance and to better serve all students. In 2018, the college moved to 8-week terms and even a few 4-week terms. This allowed students multiple entry points to follow their dreams. This transition alone placed the college on a pathway that increased completions and summer enrollment. The 8-week models worked so well, we believe that but for COVID, we could have easily in the summer of 2020 had summer enrollment that equaled spring enrollment. It just works because people have multiple opportunities to enroll. In June of 19, Governor Edwards signed a bill that allowed us to begin the journey to become a community college with accreditation from Socc COE rather than COE. This transformation requires changing not just the accreditation, but the very culture of an organization with a long past. The task, I use the analogy, is not unlike turning a large ship with a very small rudder. You can do it, but it's going to take some time, as Chancellor Sawtelle just described. There's a lot of moving pieces with it. While seeking this goal, we renewed and maintained our CE accreditation. In addition, we attained APME certification for our instrumentation program that will continue through 2027, which is a major accomplishment to do while we're doing all the other projects. The work serving our students' communities goes on every day, regardless of the Socc journey. The call for serving students is why we exist. It's who we are, so we can't take our eye off. Our number one priority is our students. I'm proud to say the impossible dream is slowly, day by day, document by document, becoming reality. Thanks to a talented group of technical professionals at NLTC, we are now reaching the point we can establish some timelines and goals to give you some things to look forward to as we start to reach these steps. A lot of steps. We're going to submit our initial application by March of 22, just about 6-8 weeks away. It's coming up for consideration. We hope to have by July, we'll be doing the revisions to that application, which is all standard procedure. December of 22, we hope to have a compliance review hearing that will schedule our initial site visit. And that site visit will be in the spring of 23. June of 23, we hope to have a board hearing for candidacy consideration. Fall of 23, a staff site visit. December of 23, complete our compliance certification applications with comments from the site visit. In spring of 24, submit compliance self-study, called compliance certificate. And it is our hope and sincere belief for the goals we set forward that in December of 24 can be at the board meeting, the Socc COC board meeting for initial membership in December of 24. A lot of steps to get us this far. The college has completed its first ever full scope audit, fiscal year 20. And a college that has not had a full scope audit, it was painful. There's a lot of things that went back, sometimes 20 years back, there were records that they needed to look at, but that's behind us now. We've got that over with. We're already underway with our second required full scope audit, which will be delivered in time to be included with the March application. This week, we're interviewing multiple candidates for our required librarian. Final details of the required documentation for faculty credentialing is nearing completion and editing. Assessments, all programs in process and being proofread. Assignment for the assessment for the 21 calendar year, it will be completed prior to the application. So there's a lot of pieces that goes into it, a lot of pieces happening as Chancellor Sawtelle described. And I guess in closing, I just want to say, I do not begin to declare perfection, but I can say that with a few bumps, bruises along the way, we will achieve the goal of our Socc COC accreditation. And from all the staff, faculty, most importantly, our students, we thank you for your support of our college. Thank you.
Thank you, Chancellor, and thank you to Chancellors June and Sawtelle as well. Any questions for any of those three chancellors on the work going on around accreditation? And I know for our newer members, and this has been a journey for us as an organization to see it finally come into fruition, I think is exciting for all of us. So hearing no questions, Madam Chair, I will turn back to you, and I think that concludes the work for the academic committee.
Thank you.
Willa, can you hear you, Willa?
Willie, you're on mute. We can't hear.
Okay, sorry. I was muted for too long. Anyway, thank you, Monty, for that good information. And that concludes my report, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, ma'am. Appreciate it. At this point, I'd like Supervisor Jackson to present the facility action items for consideration by the board.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Good afternoon, everyone. I think we have 5 items. Item number 4, sole source lease agreement between the Kenneth Wood Family LLC and the Lctcs on behalf of Fletcher Technical Community College.
Yes, sir. Supervisor Jackson, good morning, and members of the board. Mr. President, we have 5 items before you today, facilities actions before you today. Today we are bringing for you a sole source lease agreement between the Kenneth Wood Family LLC and the Lctcs on behalf of Fletcher. As everyone is aware, Fletcher was damaged by Hurricane Ida, and they had a machine tool program area that was damaged, requiring them to move their equipment from that facility to another place. While they looked for places to move the equipment, there was no suitable space that could be found. One place was the local mall that had too much space. Another place didn't have the doors that allowed for the CNC machinery to be able to move into it. So with that said, there was already in a relationship with this this family who had done training or received training from the college, and they went to them seeking their approval to enter into a sole source lease with them so that they could move their equipment to that facility. And so with that said, staff recommends that the board authorize the president and the chancellor of Fletcher Technical Community College to negotiate and execute a lease agreement with the Kenneth Wood Family LLC for a facility located at 139 Equity Boulevard, Houma, Louisiana, to house the machine tool program. This lease must be approved by the real estate leasing section at facility planning and control.
Okay, thank you, Joe. Paul, we're voting on all these together?
No, sir. We would take a motion and a second on each. And then if there's no objection, the item will be carried.
Okay, thank you, Sarah. You've heard the recommendation from staff. Are there any questions or comments? All those in favor?
So we need a
You
motion.
need a motion.
Oh, I'm sorry.
That's okay. So motion by Ms. Mount
Second.
and a second by Mr. Kuvion. Is there any objection? Is there any discussion? If none, then we.
All in favor?
All in favor. Yep.
Do we need a roll call, Sarah?
No.
No, sir. We will not need to do a roll call.
So I'll move to the next item. Before you were bringing the disposal of the Louisiana Delta College Bastrop, it's the Camel Street campus. As members may be aware, during the last year's legislative session, there was an appropriation made during the regular legislative session for $9 million in Priority 5 funding for a new campus of the facility. And as with all campuses that are currently owned by the Lctcs, board action needs to be taken in order to retire and dispose of those campuses. So while there is no necessarily immediate action that will be taken to dispose of the campus, we do wish to get board action so that we can move down that process in anticipation of a new campus being built in Bastrop. The campus is an old campus. There's a lot of hazards there. The HVAC system is beyond its life. So again, the college is asking your request to dispose of that, to take the steps necessary to dispose of that campus. As such, staff recommends that the board authorize the president and the chancellor of Louisiana Delta Community College to complete all the requirements necessary to dispose of the college's Bastrop site located at 729 Camel Street, Bastrop, Louisiana. Conveyance documents for the sale, transfer, lease termination, or exchange of this property or any portion thereof must be filed with the local clerk, court of courts, and the state land office.
Thank you, Joe. You've heard the recommendation. Is there a motion?
Motion.
Motion by Mr. Salas,
Second.
Mr. Kuvion.
Any discussion? All in favor? Any opposed? Motion carries.
Next item pertains to South Louisiana Community College and a leasing of space at the airport in Lafayette. They currently have a lease with them. It's a 10-year lease that was entered into in 2011, which means obviously given the date and time frame that lease is coming up. This is for the Aviation Mechanic Technology Program. The college is coming before the board seeking approval of a lease to extend the lease with the airport. This is a lease that will be for 3 years with 3 one-year option periods for renewal. And it's a 22,000 square foot facility that will be leased for $87,600 a year. As such, staff recommends the board authorize the president and the chancellor of South Louisiana Community College to negotiate and execute a new lease agreement with the Lafayette Airport Commission for a facility at 118 Shepherd Drive, Lafayette, Louisiana, to house the Aviation Mechanic Technology Program. This lease must be approved by the real estate leasing section at facility planning and control.
Thank you, Joe. You've heard the recommendation. Do we have a motion?
Move.
The motion by Mr. Salas,
Second.
by Ms. Mount.
Is there any discussion? All in favor? All opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Joe?
The next item is a little bit of a tricky one. I'll try to explain it the best I can. It involves Delgado Community College and a modification to a lease agreement that we currently have with the Lctcs Facility Corporation. As members may be aware, there were 2 legislative instruments that were passed for the Lctcs Facility Corporation to begin construction projects for or at Lctcs colleges. One was Act 391, which was done in 2007, and Act 360, which was done in 2013. There was one project in Act 391 back in 2007, in the 2007 instrument, that was for Delgado Community College that allowed or needed them to have a ground lease agreement established between the Lctcs and the facility corporation for the construction of those projects done through Act 391. With that said, with Act 360 and the nursing, allied health building and the culinary building, we are having to carve out another lease agreement, so to speak, ground lease agreement out of the Act 391 project that was done initially in order to establish the footprint for the new buildings that are being done through Act 360. So as convoluted as that may sound, staff recommends that the board authorize the system president to execute a contract. Staff recommends that the board authorize the president to negotiate and execute all documents necessary to modify the ground lease and facilities lease agreements at Delgado Community College to allow the construction of the nursing and allied health facility and the culinary arts workforce training center using Act 360 funds.
Thank you. You've heard the recommendation. Do we have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
A motion by Ms. Butler McIntyre, second by Ms. Mount.
Is there any discussion?
As long as y'all got it under control, it sounds good.
Yes, sir. So we'll end it with a very straightforward one. SLCC is coming before the board asking for a right-of-way agreement for CLECO to allow them to establish power at the Acadian campus. These are fairly benign. We bring them to the board fairly regularly. So staff recommends that the board authorize the president to execute a right-of-way agreement between CLECO Power LLC and the Lctcs on behalf of South Louisiana Community College Acadian campus to relocate and connect a power pole and for the continued maintenance of the utility distribution equipment. The legal description and technical drawings illustrating the area to be transferred will be maintained in the office of the Chief Operations Officer.
Thank you, Joe. You've heard the recommendation. Can we have a motion?
Move.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Kuvion. Second by Roman Hardy.
All in favor? Any opposed? Thank you, Joe. Mr. Chairman, that is the facilities reports.
All right, thank you, sir. I see Stevie down there at the bottom of the screen. Supervisor Smith, will you present the finance action items for consideration?
Like the bottom of a wagon wheel, no place to go but up. That's where I am,
right, man.
Mr. Chairman. So we got two finance items. We got one that deals with a contract between us and Aleutian. Joe, you gonna handle that for us?
Yes, sir. This is a contract that we do on an annual basis. Many of you who were here last year may recognize it. It's a contract that we do on an annual basis with Aleutian for the maintenance and support of the modifications that we, the Lctcs, asked to be done to Banner. And by that, what I mean by that is for centralized payroll, we do that on behalf of all the colleges in our system and all employees. We have employees, as an example, that potentially work at two of our colleges or multiple colleges. They could be a full-time faculty at one college and be an adjunct member at another college. However, we have a modification that provides for one payroll and one W-2 for that employee. So it's that modification along with a few other things dealing with a common student admissions application and automated articulation function among our colleges. The contract has pretty much been at about $150,000 a year. It's got a 2% escalator, which is very minimal from year to year. This year, it's $152,528. As such, staff recommends that the board authorize the system president to execute a contract between the Lctcs and Aleutian Support Incorporated for the maintenance services related to the Lctcs customizations to Banner, effective December 1, 2021 through November 30th of 2022.
Okay, so we've heard the recommendation. Do we have a motion to approve?
Move.
So moved. Second.
Motion by Ms. Mount, second by Ms. Kuvion. Mr. Kuvion, sorry.
Yeah. Okay, do we have any objection to this motion? Well, first off, do we have any questions on this? Hearing none, do we have any objections to this recommendation? That motion carries, excuse me. Okay, we got one more, Joe, you gonna handle it for us?
Yes, sir. And I'll just make a point of clarification. The item reads as a social services contract. Doesn't mean much, but it does for the state in terms of terminology. This is a consulting services contract between BRCC and Encore Corporate Training. Members, a while back, you as a board took action to allow colleges to enter into contracts under $150,000 without requiring board action. This contract initially was for $71,000, which was under that threshold. However, they are amending the contract or wishing to amend the contract that will increase it up from $72,000 up to about $224,000, which in essence requires your action before the state will allow us to proceed with this contract. This is a training contract with a provider that does Class A tractor trailer training. Initially, it was for 17 students. This amendment will bring it up to 53 students who will be receiving training from this provider through BRCC. So as such, staff recommends that the board approve an amendment to a consulting services contract between Baton Rouge Community College and Encore Corporate Training effective January 1, 2022 through August 31st, 2022. This contract amendment has been approved by the Office of State Procurement.
Okay, we've heard.
We're having a hard time hearing you, and I'm going to go ahead and Stevie, your sound is a little bit off right now, but I'll go ahead and say we have heard the motion on the floor. Go ahead and accept a motion and a second before the discussion. The motion by Mr. Kubion, a second by.
A second.
I'm sorry, who was that? Mr. Hardy, is that right? Roman? Is there any discussion? Is there any objection? Hearing none, we can move on to item number 11, the Board of Regents matched endowed scholarships.
Yes, and because the recommendation is so long, I'll be more than happy to turn that over to Quentin Taylor, who will, I'm sure, do a great job of reading the recommendation.
Well, thank you, Joe. You're so kind.
I'm here to help.
Yeah, you are. You are indeed. Supervisors, it gives me great pleasure to bring this item to this group today. You heard Dr. Sullivan in his opening President's report talk about the donations that continue to pour into our foundations across the state. And here we are yet again to talk about, while all the donations are important, I don't want to, my comments to be misconstrued, but when people give to scholarships, they're simply investing in people. And the fact that these funds will live in perpetuity, and the fact that people will be able to access this training over many, many years to come, I think is something to be really excited about. Second part to that, we all know what we've been through in the last 24 months. And the fact that our foundations, in the face of all of this adversity, have gone out and raised money for these endowments, I think is a testament to them, their leadership and their willingness to go out and do what's in the best interest of students. And so I want to give them a huge shout out and just say thank you for the hard work that they do. And so with that, and this is long, so I got to read through it, but the fact that these companies gave their monies, I think we need to read it for the record so that we give them our appreciation. So staff recommends board approval of the endowed scholarships and professorships below and as follows. Baton Rouge Community College, the Pamela and Rob Fairley 2-year workforce endowed scholarship in nursing and allied health for a total of $80,000. Bossier Parish Community College, AEP Foundation Endowed Professorship in Engineering, $100,000. AEP Foundation Endowed Professorship in Mathematics, $100,000. AEP Foundation Endowed 2-year Workforce Scholarship in STEM Transfer, $160,000. John and Joanna Magel Endowed 2-year Workforce Scholarship in Allied Health, $40,000. Woodlife Chapter 54 of Louisiana Endowed 2-year Workforce Scholarship in Business, $40,000. Michael H. Woods Endowed 2-year Workforce Scholarship in Nursing, $20,000. Man, way to go, Jennifer Lawrence at BIPSI. Central Louisiana Technical Community College, CLECO Endowed 2-year Workforce Scholarship in Manufacturing, $160,000. Delgado Community College, Marie Goudet. Man. Blue, and I apologize if I mispronounced that. Charity Alumni 2-year Workforce Endowed Scholarship in Nursing, $20,000. Delgado 2-year Workforce Scholarship in Computing, $40,000. Fletcher Technical Community College, Fletcher Foundation Endowed Scholarship in Construction Crafts, $40,000. The Fletcher Foundation Endowed First Generation Scholarship, $50,000. North Shore Technical Community College, the Joan King Smith Memorial Endowed Scholarship in Allied Health, $20,000. The Weeks Marine First Generation Endowed Scholarship, $50,000. At Nunez Community College, the Nunez Community College Foundation Endowed 2-year Scholarship in Aerospace Manufacturing Technology, $40,000. The Nunez Community College Foundation Endowed 2-year Scholarship in Nursing, $20,000. At River Parishes Community College, the Marathon First Generation Scholarship for Minority and Women Students majoring in P-TECH, $100,000. But wait, there's more. The Marathon First Generation Scholarship for students majoring in P-TECH, $50,000. The Marathon Endowed P-TECH Scholarship for minorities and/or women residing in St. John the Baptist Parish, $80,000. The Marathon Endowed P-TECH Scholarship for students residing in St. John the Baptist, $80,000. The Everett Scott Memorial Scholarship, $40,000. At South Louisiana Community College, the Cardiovascular Institute of the South / Mike McElderry Endowed Scholarship in Nursing, $20,000. The Clico Endowed Workforce Scholarship in Electrical / Power Lineman, $40,000. The Elder Outreach Endowed Scholarship in Nursing and Allied Health, $20,000. The Entergy Endowed Workforce Scholarship in Electrical Power Lineman, $80,000. The Garrett Family Endowed Scholarship, $40,000. JD Bank Endowed Scholarship, $20,000. The LHC Group / Myers Family Foundation Endowed Professorship, $5,000 in Nursing and Home Hands That Know Health Professorship, $100,000. The LHC Group Myers Family Foundation Endowed Professorship, $6,000 in Nursing and Allied Health, $100,000. The LHC Group Myers Family Foundation Endowed Scholarship in Nursing and Home Health, $160,000. The Rhett Flash Memorial Endowed Scholarship in Nursing, $20,000. And last but certainly not least, over at Sowella Technical Community College, the Cameron LNG Endowed 2-year Scholarship in Industrial Production, $85,000. The First Federal Endowed 2-year Scholarship in Accounting, $40,000. Nursing Booster Endowed 2-year Scholarship in Nursing, $100,000. The Great Lake Charles Rotary Club Endowed 2-year Scholarship in Nursing, $42,500. And the William Brent Lumpkin Endowed 2-year Workforce Scholarship in Hospitality, $40,000. Last thing I'll say, and I don't know if your calculators in your brains were keeping track, but that is approximately $2.2 million in combined public funds with our private contributions from donors from across the state. And by my count, Dr. Sullivan and members of the board, this is our second largest, since I've been here in 9 years, our second largest total when it comes to endowments and professorships. Again, kudos to our staff and the colleges just doing tremendous work.
Thank you so much, Quentin. I think that that is our second largest and possibly the longest verbiaged one, because the other one may have been for larger chunks of money and a smaller list of things. Quentin did read that recommendation. Supervisor Stevie Smith, as you all heard, had some connection issues down in the bayou where he is. And so we will take a motion to approve those endowed scholarships and professorships.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Jackson and the second by who?
Second.
Cynthia. Butler McIntyre.
Thank you. Is there any objection to this motion? Hearing none, we are now moved in the agenda to the Governance Committee, and I'll turn that over to Supervisor Stephen Toops.
Well, thank you, Ms. Kleinpeter. Can everybody hear me okay? This is governance for approval, governance committee role, scope, and mission. And I'm assuming just read the recommendation, Monty, or you want to take it?
Yeah, Supervisor Toops, I'll take that one. As you'll recall, a little over a year ago, we as a board agreed that we would, as a part of our our rules as a board, we would create a governance committee, provide for a role, scope, and mission of that governance committee. Obviously, as we're looking forward to a change in leadership of the board, we need to begin to be a little more formal in terms of our governance structure. And so the policy that you have in front of you is a role, scope, and mission policy that outlines the responsibilities of the governance committee. It has been reviewed by this board for 1 month of review and advisement. And so at this point, we bring it forward to you for action. The recommendation reads that the board approve the role, scope, and mission description of the governance committee of the board. This document will be reviewed continually, and the board will be apprised of any edits or additions to the expectations of the committee.
So moved.
Motion by Ms. Mount,
Second.
a second by Mr. Jackson. Is there any objection? Hearing none, we are moved to the personnel action items. And Mr. Tim Hardy, it's your turn for the spotlight. Thank you, Mr. Toops.
Thank you very much. And I'm always honored to follow Supervisor Toops. So at this time, I request a motion to enter into executive session to discuss items H13, update on pending potential litigation, H14, appointment of chancellor for River Parishes Community College, H15, LCTCS chancellor's contract recommendations, and H16, LCTCS president contract recommendation. So at this time, I ask for a motion.
Move.
A motion by Ms. McConduit, a second by Mr. Kuvion to enter executive session, and I will conduct a roll call vote. This is to enter executive.
Do we need a second first?
We had a motion by Ms. McConduit and a second by Mr. Kuvion.
Okay.
Yes, sir. And so we'll go into executive session. Mr. Price,
Yes.
Supervisor Mount,
Yes.
Supervisor Jackson,
Yes.
Supervisor Bradford, were you able to join us back? Okay, Ms. Bradford had some technical difficulties and had to drop off of the meeting. We have noted that for the record. Supervisor Butler McIntyre,
Yes.
Supervisor Carter,
Yes.
Supervisor Roman Hardy,
Yes.
Supervisor Tim Hardy,
Yes.
Supervisor McConduit,
Yes.
Supervisor Murphy,
Yes.
Supervisor Salah,
Yes.
Supervisor Smith also had technical difficulties and was not able to rejoin at this time. Supervisor Spawn,
Yes.
Supervisor Toops,
Yes.
Supervisor Kuvion.
Yes.
Mr. Chairman, we do have a unanimous vote to enter executive session. At 12:09 a.m., members of the board, I ask that you exit this meeting and join the Zoom link that was sent to you for the executive session. And those of staff and chancellors who are watching, you are welcome to remain as we become silent on this end.
Sarah, could you resend the Zoom link? I don't have one.
Yes, sir. I'm sending it right now.
There, same here for me.
Yeah, I'm gonna send it to everybody.
Okay.
Welcome back, board members. Those of you who are watching online, we will give our board members a few moments to rejoin. Members of the board, please accept the invitation to rejoin as a panelist. We are sending those out as quickly as we can, but you will not move over unless you accept that invitation to join as a panelist.
Ms. Klein-Peters, is this a new feature? Because I didn't realize I had to do that yesterday on the governor's task force, and I missed about 20 minutes of the meeting because I didn't know I had to join as a panelist.
I believe it must be, Mr. Hardy. We have not used the webinar feature since our meeting in October, and it seems as though Zoom did an internal update, and this is a new feature because we've never had to ask you to accept as a panelist before today, and we haven't noticed it before today. We did notice it during our practice session, and I changed a setting, but that did not help today. And so our practice session was all staff members who frequently do Zoom meetings, and they accept it without us knowing that we had to ask them to accept, honestly.
That I will know going forward. I just missed that one yesterday with the governor's climate initiative task force with the same feature, but got it now. Thank you.
Yes, sir. Let me see. It looks like Mr. Price, are you back with us? Hold on one second, you guys. Mr. Price is not back quite yet. Give the good chairman a few more minutes to try and reconnect.
Sarah, I had to go out and come back in to get the invitation because the first login I did didn't show it. So I don't know if he's having the same problem or not. You might ask.
Sure. Let me go ahead and send that new link to him, or the old link, but okay, he is trying to join now. So I see. Josh. Was Stevie Smith ever able to join the executive session? I believe he's in a bad zone, and so I think we've lost him.
He was not able to join.
Okay, Stan is back with us yet? Not quite. Let me send him the link also. We're watching for Stan and for Paul Price.
Paul Price should be coming online. Helen Carter is not with us yet.
Okay. Erica is back with us. Tim Hardy is back with us. Roman is back with us. Yes. Miss Helen is not back with us. Is Cynthia? Yes, I see her. Tara Bradford, we lost her a while back. Chip is back with us. Lily is here. And Paul Price is here. Let me check on Stan and Miss Helen.
Glad I wasn't the last one. I don't know what happened.
So thank you all for your patience. We, as you know, cannot exit executive session until we have all of those who were present during executive session back with us. And I'm going to get Miss Helen a text right now. Did Stan join back with us?
Don't see him.
Yeah.
Let me go ahead and try and call both of them.
We'll call Supervisor Carter. I'll call Supervisor Salat.
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am. You're on by phone and not by video.
Finally on.
Yes,
Well,
ma'am.
I'm on mobile telephone, but I don't need to be on video. We're trying on the other one.
Okay, sure. Yes, ma'am. The phone will be fine, and we're still waiting on Mr. Salat. So I'm going to put you back on mute, okay?
Well, let me ask you, how many you got on now?
Well, I have everyone we need right now and waiting on Mr. Salat, and then we can come out of executive session. So please stay on, okay?
I am.
So Supervisor Salat is in the midst of trying to get logged on right now.
It's a pretty day outside my window.
Sorry, I would like to recognize Roman Hardy for having the LCTCS logo as his background right now. So I appreciate you doing that to represent Mr. Hardy.
You got to be very impressed. It took a lot to figure out how to do that.
Show off.
A lot for me to figure that out.
And Tim, I'm very impressed with your display of tremendous support for the paper industry on your desk behind you.
That's a back compliment.
All right.
1,000 apologies. I'm here.
No need for more than one. That's for sure, Mr. Salah. Mr. Chairman, we do have everyone present. I do have to have a roll call vote to end executive session, and it looks like we will be ending at 1:22 p.m. And Supervisor Price.
Here.
Present. Supervisor Mount.
Here.
Supervisor Jackson is present.
Here.
Supervisor Butler McIntyre.
Here.
Is present. Supervisor Carter.
Here.
Thank you. Supervisor Roman Hardy.
Here.
Supervisor Tim Hardy.
Here.
Supervisor McConduit.
Here.
Supervisor Murphy.
Here.
Supervisor Salah.
Here.
Supervisor Spawn.
Yes.
Supervisor Toops.
Here.
And last but not least, Supervisor Kubion.
Here.
Mr. Chairman, we do have a quorum of the board present, and executive ended as of 1:22 p.m.
Thank you, ma'am. I would like to reconvene the meeting at this time and state that no votes were taken and no consensus was reached during the executive session. Do we want to continue with the personnel items, Supervisor Hardy?
Yes, we do. So the next item is Dr. Sullivan is.
Sure. In addition to item 13, which the board heard an update on pending and potential litigation, we'll move to item 14, which is the appointment of permanent chancellor at River Parishes Community College. The board is aware of the steps that have been taken in the process of a search at River Parishes Community College. Given the work that has gone on to this point, I'd like to recommend today that the board not take action in filling the permanent River Parishes Community College chancellor role at the January 2022 meeting. And I'd like to turn, if I can, to Supervisor Tim Hardy for a quick statement.
Sure. And so I'd like to read a statement into the record as follows. There are not many decisions as important as selecting a chancellor to lead one of our colleges. It is a decision and responsibility I and this board do not take lightly. The students, faculty, staff, and the entire college community deserve nothing but our best effort to find the right leader. Chair Price, as this board's as this board's chair, and self as personnel committee chair, and the chair of River Parishes Community College Chancellor Search Committee, which am I, there's no candidate that has been recommended by our president for selection. As such, we will not move forward with the appointment of a new chancellor at River Parishes Community College at this time. Currently, the interim chancellor is providing excellent leadership at the college and in the community, working with various stakeholders. Speaking on behalf of the board, we are thankful for Dr. Carlson stepping in and serving as the interim. In the days ahead, I will work with Dr. Sullivan to develop and communicate to the college community a plan going forward. And that is my statement.
Good. Thank you, Supervisor Hardy. That is item 14, and we can move forward to item 15 if you'd like.
Yes, at this time, we'll move forward with item 15, LCTCS Chancellor Contract Recommendations, Dr. Sullivan.
Yes, I believe Joe Marine will handle this item. Joe?
Yes, sir. And Quentin, you can thank me for taking this, because this will be a long recommendation. Given the compensation comparisons of LCTCS chancellors to those within the Southern Regional Education Board and factoring performance goals, the LCTCS president recommends the following compensation packages for LCTCS chancellors with an effective date of January 1st, 2022 as follows. Number one, Neil Aspinwall, Chancellor of Saguala Technical Community College, shall receive an annual compensation package comprised of a base salary of $228,666, a housing allowance of $25,000, a vehicle allowance of $7,500 or the use of a state vehicle, a civic organization allowance of $2,500, and a deferred retirement contribution of $35,000 for a total compensation of $298,660 through December 31st, 2025. Number two, Douglas Rick Bateman, Chancellor of Bossier Parish Community College, shall receive an annual compensation package comprised of a base salary of $204,829, a housing allowance of $25,000, a vehicle allowance of $7,500 or the use of a state vehicle, a civic organization allowance of $2,500, and a deferred retirement contribution of $20,000 for a total compensation package of $259,829 through December 31st, 2024. Number three, Randall Esters, Chancellor of Louisiana Delta Community College, shall receive an annual compensation package comprised of a base salary that will remain at $190,000, a housing allowance of $25,000, a vehicle allowance of $7,500 or the use of a state vehicle, a civic organization allowance of $2,500, and a deferred retirement contribution of $20,000 for a total compensation package of $245,000 through June 30th, 2024. Number four, Vincent June, Chancellor of South Louisiana Community College, shall receive an annual compensation package comprised of a base salary of $186,915, a housing allowance of $25,000, a vehicle allowance of $7,500 or the use of a state vehicle, a civic organization allowance of $2,500, and a deferred retirement contribution of $15,000 for a total compensation package of $236,915 through June 30th, 2024. Larissa Littleton Steig, Chancellor of Delgado Community College, shall receive an annual compensation package comprised of a base salary of $235,875, a housing allowance of $25,000, a vehicle allowance of $7,500 or the use of a state vehicle, a civic organization allowance of $2,500, and a deferred retirement contribution of $15,000 for a total compensation package of $285,875 through December 31st, 2025. Earl Metter, Chancellor of Northwest Louisiana Technical Community College, shall receive an annual compensation package comprised of a base salary of $183,707, a housing allowance of $25,000, a vehicle allowance of $7,500 or the use of a state vehicle, a civic organization allowance of $2,500, and a deferred retirement contribution of $15,000 for a total compensation package of $233,707 through December 31st, 2024. Jimmy Sawtell, Chancellor at Central Louisiana Technical Community College, shall receive an annual compensation package comprised of a base salary of $194,998, a housing allowance of $25,000, a vehicle allowance of $7,500 or the use of a state vehicle, a civic organization allowance of $2,500, and a deferred retirement contribution of $15,000 for a total compensation package of $244,998 through December 31st, 2024. Willie Smith Sr., Chancellor at Baton Rouge Community College, shall receive an annual compensation package comprised of a base salary of $217,260, a housing allowance of $25,000, a vehicle allowance of $7,500 or the use of a state vehicle, a civic organization allowance of $2,500, and a deferred retirement contribution of $20,000 for a total compensation package of $272,260 through December 31st, 2025. Christine Strickland, Chancellor of Fletcher Technical Community College, shall receive an annual compensation package comprised of a base salary of $192,642, a housing allowance of $25,000, a vehicle allowance of $7,500 or the use of a state vehicle, a civic organization allowance of $2,500, and a deferred retirement contribution of $25,000 for a total compensation package of $252,642 through December 31st, 2025. Tina Tenney, Chancellor of Nunez Community College, shall receive an annual compensation package comprised of a base salary of $192,281, a housing allowance of $25,000, a vehicle allowance of $7,500 or the use of a state vehicle, a civic organization allowance of $2,500, and a deferred retirement contribution of $25,000 for a total compensation package of $252,281 through December 31st, 2025. William Wainwright, Chancellor at North Shore Technical Community College, shall receive an annual compensation package comprised of a base salary of $222,312, a housing allowance of $25,000, a vehicle allowance of $7,500 or the use of a state vehicle, a civic organization allowance of $2,500, and a deferred retirement contribution of $30,000 for a total compensation package of $287,312 through December 31st, 2025. Mr. President, that ends the recommendation.
Okay, you have heard the recommendations. Is there a motion for approval?
So moved. This is Craig.
I'll second.
I'm sorry, who was the motion by? I didn't hear the
This
name.
is Craig.
Thank you. And second by Ms. McConduit.
Yeah, just let me know when we can comment.
Is
Comment now.
there discussion?
No discussion. I just want to say, first of all, let me commend all of the chancellors for a tremendous job well done. I think, I join my colleagues in saying we are just always so impressed with the work you do on behalf of the system, on behalf of the citizens of the state of Louisiana. So hopefully you'll take this in the best spirits, because we really want to make sure that you are actually recognized for the level of work that you put into this job each and every day. With that, I will also say that I am asking this system to do a pay equity analysis. You know that we have spoken a lot today about our strategic direction being committed to equity. I think it is incredibly important that while we recognize and make these adjustments currently, that we quickly move right after this to do a pay equity analysis to make sure that, we are consistently implementing fair practices and standards across the board in our system. So I think my colleagues will join me in supporting that recommendation, and that we will expeditiously, move this request forward.
Thank you. Are there is there further discussion or comments? Hearing none, is there any opposition? Hearing none, then motion carries. Next item on the agenda, Lctcs System President Contract Recommendation.
Excuse me, Mr. Hardy, before we start on that one, since Ms. McConduit made a secondary motion, I think we should do the motion from the floor, since it has to do with item number 15, which was approved. So the chancellor contracts were approved, and then Ms. McConduit made a motion from the floor. So
I didn't know it was a motion, but you're right. So
that's okay. So I think that the motion that Ms. McConduit made, I'll restate it, is that there would be a pay equity analysis for our chancellors as quickly as possible. And so Ms. McConduit, if there's any other intent for that.
Be completed by June 1st.
You have heard the motion. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Second.
Is there further discussion? Is there opposition? The motion carries. Thank you. Next item on the agenda, Lctcs System President Contract Recommendation. Would you like to take the lead on that, Mr. Chair?
Well, you're doing such a good job there, sir. I think I'll just defer to your wisdom and tactfulness.
Okay, I'm happy to do that.
Thank you, sir.
At this time, let me just say the board has no formal recommendation, but we will be moving post haste to come back with a recommendation, hopefully by the next board meeting. We have had the losses that all of us are aware of. With Renee Centron, we've had issues with COVID. We've had a lot of issues that this board faces. Having said that, we understand the need to move post haste in addressing Dr. Sullivan's compensation. That absolutely will be done. This board has pretty much ordered that we move on this, and we will do it and try to have a recommendation back by our next meeting. Is there any further comment by you, Mr. Chair, or other board members?
That's well stated, sir.
Okay, well, with that, Mr. Chair, I'll turn it back over to you.
Okay. Thank you, sir. At this point in time, I would like to present the consent agenda items for consideration by the board.
Yes, sir. Staff recommends that the board approve the consent agenda, which consists of agenda items I-1 through I-9.
Is there a motion?
Move.
Is there a
Motion by
second?
Mr. Kubion.
I'll second.
Thank you, Ms. McIntyre, Butler McIntyre.
Any discussion? Any opposition? Hearing none, that motion carries. At this point, I'd like to refer to the updates and encourage our board members to review the information that has been provided to them. Is there any additional business to come before the board?
Mr. Chairman, if there's no other business, I would like to state for the record that we received 0 requests for comment by any of the means available for public comment.
Great. Thank you, ma'am.
You're welcome.
Are there any announcements to come before the board? I would not at this point. I'd like to request a motion to adjourn, just one at a time, please.
Second.
Ms. Carter, you are on record for that adjournment motion. If there's no objection to that.
Second, this is Craig.
Very good. We are adjourned. Thank y'all very much.
Thank you, guys.
Appreciate your patience.
We're adjourned at 1:39 p.m. Thank you all and have a great day.
Thanks, Sarah.